Yeah, any one of you can respond to me. Able to see my screen? Shall I
Yes,
explain?
sir.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So our next module is Ethernet switching. Observe that every module is synchronized with each other. Okay, the content which you learned in the previous modules are the inputs for the next module, right? So this module is Ethernet switching. Actually, where Ethernet comes into picture. Observe where Ethernet is comes into picture. So in the OSI layer, the bottommost layer, that is layer 1, is a physical layer. The next layer is data link layer. Right, in the data link layer, there only LLC sublayer. Okay, and then MAC sublayer is there. MAC sublayer will choose the corresponding technology, either Ethernet or Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, like that. 802.11, 802.15, like that. So there we are forming frames which are called as Ethernet frames. Ethernet frames. What is the structure of a frame? Header or data followed by a frame. So now, after now we are ready and our frame is ready. And how to perform switching? And the next level is switching. Switching means uh, the device is connected, the end device is connected to the networking device. Either it may be a router or a switch or a wireless access point with some Ethernet connectivity options. So how the devices perform switching between all these connected devices. So the intended device only have to receive the data. Okay, the data shouldn't be uh, transferred to unauthorized system. How this uh, Ethernet switching works. This is the main topic, and to perform all these operations, the main objectives in this Internet networking or Internet, how Internet works is basically it is divided as Ethernet frame. First, we learn about Ethernet frame, and then what is an Ethernet MAC address, followed by the structure of the MAC address table, how a switch or a networking device forms a MAC addressing table, and then switch speed and forwarding methods, how switch performs different speed. End device contains its own speed. That means one laptop connects with a 10 Mbps connection, another high-end server connects with Gbps connection. So how uh, switch communicates with these different devices with different speeds, and then how switch forwards the data between all these things. So these are the things we will learn now. Coming to the first subtopic, Ethernet frame. So what is an Ethernet frame? Where this frame is found actually at the data link layer. Okay, Ethernet operates at data link layer. Okay, 802.2 and 802.3 were the two important standards provided by IEEE. These are the important standard networking technologies, 802.2 and 802.3. Right? How this Ethernet operates at data link layer and physical link layer, we will learn about this one. So, data link sublayers. What are the data link sublayers? We already learned that data link layer is again divided into two sublayers. First one is LLC sublayer and the second one is MAC sublayer. What my point? So LLC sublayer standard is 802.2. Keep it in mind. IEEE 802.2. So what it does is places information in the frame to identify which network layer protocols is used for the frame. Right? Places information in the frame. It places the information inside the frame. Right? That is the main goal of this LLC layer, the task of that LLC sublayer. And next, coming to the MAC sublayer. MAC sublayer works with different media types, wired, wireless, Bluetooth, like that. So IEEE 802.2, 802.2, 802.11, 802.11, So MAC sublayer is responsible for data encapsulation. So whatever the frame given by the LLC sublayer. So MAC sublayer is responsible for data encapsulation and media access control. Media access control means MAC, MAC, media access control. By the media access control only, it controls the physical device. It has access to the physical device. MAC sublayer only. Okay, under the data link layer, MAC sublayer has the direct access to, or MAC sublayer has the capability to access the physical device. What is that one? Network interface card. So these are the main two goals of the data link sublayers. Next, what is actually MAC sublayer? MAC sublayer means it is responsible for data encapsulation. Already told you, MAC sublayer is responsible for data encapsulation, right? Data encapsulation. So in the data encapsulation, first it creates a Ethernet frame. Ethernet frame means internal structure is there, some internal structure is there. It frames the data according to that one, and then it provides Ethernet addressing. What is the Ethernet addressing? Addressing at data link layer means L2. What is the addressing at L2 layer? The address is depends on NIC, right? So Ethernet destination NIC, source NIC. So Ethernet frames from Ethernet NIC to Ethernet NIC on some other LAN. That means it is destination, it is source. And then we have Ethernet error detection. Ethernet error detection means which is having a frame check sequence. So why frame check sequence? We are dividing or sending the data in the form of frames only. Ultimately, at the Ethernet layer, we send data in the form of frames. So each frame has its own identity. So at the receiving end, all the frames should be reached, or all the frames should be reached at the destination side. If there are any errors occurs, how the layers, upper layers, or how the system remove. So it's the duty of Ethernet layer which contains error detection. Okay, it has frame check sequence, right? In the frame check sequence, we are mentioning with our frame with header and a trailer. So here frame check sequence trailer is used for error detection. Error detection, right? Next, MAC sublayer, same diagram, but little bit concepts were adding to these layers actually. You already observed that network layer has network layer protocol, right? LLC sublayer protocol, which is 802.2, and the standard for MAC sublayer is IEEE 802.3, and in that one, how many types of technologies were there? Fast Ethernet 802.3U, 803.3Z. Z means gigabit Ethernet. U means fast Ethernet 100 Mbps. Next, 802.3 AB, gigabit Ethernet over copper. Okay, Z means fiber, AB means copper. Next, 802.3 AE means Ethernet over fiber, but with 10 gigabits of speed, right, etc. And so many things were there. So physical frame. So to draw this diagram, simple, basic structure is simple. First write physical layer 1, and then L2, and then L3. L2 contains again two divisions. First one is LLC sublayer, second one is MAC sublayer, and then in the network layer we have network layer protocol. For LLC sublayer we have IEEE 802.2, and the MAC sublayer we have 802.3, and 802.3 again consists 802.3U, 802.3 2.3Z, 802.3 AB, 802.3 AE. So this way we can draw this diagram, right? Next, how We identify collision detections, means error detections. We have CSMA CD, CSMA CA. Right. Next, Ethernet frame. You are mentioning that Ethernet frame, Ethernet frame, Ethernet frame. Actually, what is the structure of that Ethernet frame? What are the different fields were there in Ethernet frame? So, actually, the minimum size, maximum size is there. First, the minimum size of Ethernet frame is 64 bytes. It is the least size, 64 bytes. Maximum size is 1518 bytes. Right? 1518 bytes. There is a start field called preamble field. It is not included in this size. Preamble field is not included that size. The minimum frame size of Ethernet is 64 bytes. Maximum is 1518 bytes, not bits. It's bytes. Right? Any frame less than 64 bytes considered as collision fragment. Okay, collision. If any collision occurs, the minimum size will not met. The minimum size is 64 bytes. If a Ethernet frame received is less than 64 bytes, it means it belongs to a collision fragment. Right? Frames with more than 1500 bytes of data considered as jumbo or baby giant frames. Right? If the sent frame size is less than or greater than the maximum of the receiving device, okay, it simply drops the frame. Right? Dropping a frames. What is that one? Dropping means it won't accept any data. Collision, whatever the collision frames were there, that won't get accepted, and then unwanted signals, those won't accepted in the form of dropping a signals. So all these things are called as invalid. Next, jumbo frames. Jumbo frames means more than 1500 bytes of data. Those jumbo frames are supported by fast Ethernet and gigabit Ethernet switches only. Right? Not all the devices support jumbo frames. Not all the devices support large amount of data greater than 1500 bytes. Only fast Ethernet and gigabit Ethernet switches and network interface cards will allow that jumbo frames. Right? Next, continuing with the Ethernet frame field. What is the structure of Ethernet frame field? Is already told you, preamble field is not considered with frame size. So this one 8 bytes. Preamble size is 8 bytes. It is not considered as Ethernet frame size. After the preamble only, we'll consider the size of that Ethernet, frame size of that Ethernet. And in that Ethernet frame, what are the different fields available? So there is a 6 byte MAC address, destination MAC address, 6 byte source MAC address. Because we are dealing with data link, there the addressing is MAC addresses only. Data link MAC addresses only. That's why we have destination MAC address, source MAC address, and then type. Type field is there. It is of 2 bytes, and then original data. Actually, what is the data to be sent? It's in the size starting from 45 to 1500 bytes, right? And finally, we'll include a frame check sequence field for error detection techniques. FCS field is of 4 bytes, right? 4 bytes. So these things are constant. Preamble is 8 bytes. Destination MAC address, source MAC address 6 bytes, 6 bytes. Type 2 bytes. FCS 4 bytes. But the changing value is data size. Data size may varies 45 to 1500 bytes. So between these things, the data size may varies. So that's why we are mentioning that 64 to 1518 bytes, right? So this is the Ethernet frame field structure. Next, use Wireshark to examine Ethernet frames. So they are mentioning to check Ethernet frames. I'll open Wireshark and I'll show you. So better you install Wireshark in your devices. It's a open source tool. You can get download from internet. It's not a part of Cisco. Wireshark is a different thing. So this is the Wireshark console. First it will detect all the network interface cards. Okay, total network interface cards. I have this number of interface cards. Out of all these things, LAN, because I renamed that as LAN, that is my interface. So double click on your interface. It will scans whatever the data or packets we are sending through this one. Out of all these things, what is my task to be performed? What is my task? My task is examining header fields in Ethernet 2 frame. Ethernet 2 frame, right? So I'll do one thing. I'll click a frame, double click any random frame, right? Any frame. So these much of activities were going on in the background of my system. First I will take any one TCP. Okay, don't go with UDP because TCP is reliable. First select any TCP. I'll stop that one because it's changing. Right? I got a TCP. I'll double click on this one, TCP. So here I got different things I had captured in my Wireshark. What is my motto or objective? Identify the Ethernet 2 frames. So observe in the Wireshark, we have Ethernet 2 field is there. Ethernet 2. Open that one. Ethernet 2. What are the two difference were there? Fields were there. So compare with this structure. What is the first field? Preamble field. Ethernet frame field. What is the first one? Preamble field. Ignore that one. And then what is the next field? Destination MAC address. And then source MAC address. And then type. Okay. Observe. So in the Ethernet field, what is there? Destination. So B8AEED. This is my destination MAC address. And then source. In the brackets, I have source MAC address. Okay. And what is the next field after source MAC address? Type by length. Okay. What do we have here? Type IPv4. Right. And then what is the next one? Data frame check sequence. So type padding. Right. Type IPv4. Observe. Whatever the things I am selecting over here, those things. So this is the actual bottom area. There are two divisions. Top is the label field and bottom area is the actual data field. So whatever the packet I captured, this is the complete information. Right. Okay. Out of all this complete information, I want to know the destination MAC address. Click on the destination MAC address. Automatically it will be highlighted in the bottom field. Observe B8AEED D40682. This is the destination MAC. And then source field A0F47968DF3C. Right. Next, type 0 into 0800. Meaning is it's IPv4. IPv4 in hexadecimal format. It's indicated as 0 into 0800. Next, padding. Padding is the field. If the data size is below the predefined length, the frame will add zeros at last portion of the data. To fill the size, it will add zeros. That value is called as padding value. So the frame I selected has empty at last. That's why this frame added zeros. Okay. After IPv4, whatever the thing 0548, whatever the thing is there, it is the actual data. And padding. Click on the padding. So padding is the last field. So starting from 48, 45, 48, 00, 28, 3C, this is my data. Up to 4B, 7B, this is the data. And the remaining field is, there is no data. That's why the frame will add zeros or called as padding values to fill the empty data. Right. This is the way we can analyze the traffic. Right. Here we have a destination MAC, source MAC. We have a IP type, IPv4, and then data followed by padding. This is the way you have to observe the or analyze the data using a tool called using a tool called Wireshark. Got my point? So in the Wireshark also, all these fields, whatever the fields were there, so these fields, source mark, destination mark, source mark, type, data, FCS, all these things were covered. Right? Next, we examined all these frames, captured and analyzed all these frames. Next, Ethernet MAC address. What is Ethernet MAC address? Ethernet MAC address is a 48-bit binary value expressed using 12 hexadecimal values. Keep in mind, MAC address contains 12 hexadecimal values. Hexadecimal values means we have 00 to FF. Okay, next, hexadecimal values. Okay, these are represented or preceded using 0x, like this 0x. Okay, so this is the basic format of Ethernet address. So what I told you, there are 12 hexadecimal bits in MAC address. So first I'll show you my laptop MAC address. Hit on ipconfig, right? ipconfig, observe MAC address. So this is the MAC address. If you got confused, I will show you with the graphical format. So in the computer icon at the bottom right side tree, right click on that one, click on open in network settings, click on change adapter options, you will get adapters, network adapters. Okay, so with the I connected using LAN, open that one, click on status. In the status, click on details. Details here, observe, we have IP address, subnet mask, gateway, DNS. But of all these, we have a physical address. Physical address is nothing but MAC address. It is unique for every system. Like IMEI number for every mobile, each computer device or a router or a switch contains its own MAC address, unique address, right? So how many hexadecimal values will there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 values into 2, total 12. Why? Because B8, 2 hexas. B is 1 hexa, 8 is 1 hexa. A 1 hexa, E 1 hexa. Total how many hexa values were there? 12 hexa values were there. Got my point? 12 hexa values. So total same thing it has represented here. 12 hexa values were there. A pair of 2 hexa be considered as a byte. Right? Pair of 2 hexa considered as a byte. So observe here, a pair means B8 means 2 hexadecimal values considered as a byte. Like that, how many bytes were there? 6 bytes were there. 6 bytes, right? So observe here, yellow color. Total 6 bytes were there, and these 6 bytes or 12 hexa values were divided into 2 groups. First group is called as organizationally unique identifier. Second one is vendor assigned vendor assigned address, OUI, and vendor assigned address, right? So what is the difference between these two things? Vendor means the manufacturing company. The manufacturing company should register their Ethernet devices with IEEE domain, right? So there, if they register, they obtain a 6-digit hexadecimal code called organizationally unique identifier. That means that OUI represents the manufacturer registered address with IEEE. Next, vendor assigned means these are assigned by that company. So consider here my MAC address B8AEED. Mine is Sony laptop. So if you open your system and verify with your physical address, that is MAC address, your address first 3 bits is different because your manufacturer is different, right? Same thing if you do in our computer laboratory. If you open MAC address of that one, suppose if we had a Dell computers, if you open that computer, the OUI first 3 bytes were same for all the systems in that laboratory, because all those systems belongs to same manufacturer, either Dell or HP or Acer. Got my point? Either Dell or HP or Acer. So OUI is unique. And next, vendor assigned means here the 3 bits, last 3 bytes will be changed. Last 3 bytes is changed. This is the basic structure of Ethernet MAC address. Totally 6 bytes. First 3 bytes represents organizationally unique identifier. Last 3 bytes represents vendor assigned address, right? Or identifier. Next, frame processing. How Ethernet frame? We already seen Ethernet frame which contains header, trailer. In that we have a data, right? How these frames are forwarded or processed. When a device forwarding a message to Ethernet, the Ethernet contains MAC addresses. Already told you at the data link layer we have MAC addresses. What is that MAC address? Source MAC address and destination MAC address. So, in order to process the frame, we have original data in encapsulated form. To that, we will attach source MAC address, destination MAC address, right? This is the way, by looking at the MAC addresses, we can forward the frame, right? So in this one, the message sending formats in the first module, I think. So there are 3 ways we can send the message. So first one is unicast, next multicast, next broadcast. What is unicast? Unicast means sending the data to particular system with this particular system out of a LAN. Consider that example picture. It contains around 5 devices. So H1 want to send data to server, right? Or H1 wants to request some data from the server. So to which system this request is to be processed or to be sent by the switch? The request of H1 to be sent to the server only. But how a switch knows out of all those 5 systems, how switch knows that it is a server? Using the MAC address. Okay, using the MAC address, it will forward the packet or frame. Observe the diagram. Observe the diagram. Header and trailer is there. Before the trailer, we have user data, and these are L3 frames, and these are L2 frames. L2 frames contains destination MAC, source MAC, and observe what is the server MAC address: 0007E9 AC42 AC28. So this is our destination. So destination MAC address is the MAC address of web server. And next, who is performing the request? H1. What is the H1 is the source here. What is the MAC address of H1? 0007E963 CE53. So observe, source MAC address is the address of the H1, right? So this is the way we can send our frames, right? Next, the process host uses. How the host will know that this particular server is present or not? How it will know? Using the MAC address. We have a protocol called ARP, Address Resolution Protocol. Okay, this is the process. A host system or H1 system here is used to determine the destination MAC address. Destination MAC address associated with IP address. So IP address, using that one to learn the MAC address. Got my point? So here some complex thing is there. Meaning is basically how you will contact the server with the help of IP address only. You don't know the MAC address of the server, but you maintain communication with the help of IP address. So whenever in this scenario H1 performs a request, wants to perform a request to the server, first it need to know the MAC address of that server, right? So that for that one, address resolution protocol is there. Using that protocol, first H1 identifies the MAC address of the server using IP address. Using the IP address, it will send the request to the switch. So switch will perform network discovery, and to the server IP address, it will send the request. So and so system wants to make a communication path with you. So the server acknowledges it and gives its MAC address, and that MAC address is discovered by the system H1. Okay, system H1 then knows the MAC address of the server. After knowing the MAC address, that destination MAC address is attached into the destination MAC frame. Okay, all these things happened in the background for one frame delivery, right? Next, broadcast. What is broadcast? Broadcast means one to all. Okay, one to all. That means if I want to broadcast some data to all the systems in the network, I can broadcast the data. So the MAC address. So in the previous example, if I want to send data or perform request with the server, I'll put MAC address of the server, right? I'll put MAC address of the server only. But consider the next case, I want to perform communication with all the systems in the network. But here this frame permits only one MAC address, right? But in order to make communication, establish communication with all MAC addresses, so whether I want to generate individual MAC frame, individual Ethernet frame for all the systems in order to maintain communication path, no, we won't do that thing. We have some other procedure called broadcast. Broadcast means if you use broadcast address is there in the networking. If we use that broadcast address in the destination MAC field, if you use broadcast address, the broadcast address is all F's. F, 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 F. All the bits are high. It indicates that the destination MAC address is a broadcast message. That means the data is sent to all the devices in the network if you use MAC address, right? For example, some announcements I want to make, I can use broadcast address as my destination MAC address, right? Next, multicast MAC address. What is multicast MAC address? Suppose I need to send a group of hosts on the network. Okay, multicast MAC address. It means, so for some group, for example, I have a WhatsApp group. I have lots of contacts, but in WhatsApp, I created our virtual training group. I added you guys into that group. Now only 25 members belongs to that virtual group, 25 students. And module 1 first batch students belongs to some other group. Their address is different, your address is different. Like that, in networking, if you want to send data to particular device, you insert destination MAC address of that particular device, right? If you want to send data to all the device in the network, at the destination MAC address, you will fill the MAC address, broadcast MAC address, which is FFFFF, right? Next, if you want to send data to specific group of people, for that, we have a reserved MAC addresses. Okay, there is a MAC address called 01005E. Okay, so this is the address 01005E. So if I want to send data, so we can use that multicast addresses like broadcast address FFFF. We have multicast MAC address, reserved address. If we include that multicast MAC address, the devices which belongs to that multicast group will get the data, and remaining systems who don't belong to that group won't get the packet, right? This is the way we can make communications. In the first module, we learned unicast, multicast, broadcast. In this module, this is the way using MAC addresses we will implement unicast, multicast, broadcast. Unicast means direct MAC address usage of the destination device. Broadcast means inserting all FFF fields in the destination MAC address. For performing multicast, okay, so in this case, we will use multicast group address, which is called as 01005E, followed by some URL, right? Next, this is the way we can perform all the three mechanisms. Next, view network device MAC address. Set up the topology and initialize devices. Configure device, verify connectivity, display, describe, and analyze Ethernet MAC address. Right. We already performed this one in the previous laboratory. I installed one switch. I installed one PC. I made a connection to that one, and then what I did, I simply issued the command ipconfig. Right. With the ipconfig, I can have the address followed by MAC address. And just now also, I opened my LAN GUI. In that, I had already shown you the MAC address, right? This is the basic structure or basic procedure to verify the MAC address of a system, right? This is the objective for you. So identify your system MAC address, your router MAC address. Identify your devices, right? Next, MAC address table. So switch device contains the MAC addresses of all the systems, right? Okay. So how these MAC addresses were organized in the switch? How it is maintained? So like you maintain your attendance in the form of a register. Those who attended will mark your roll number. Those who didn't attend it, we don't write roll number in that one. On the day, lab attendance, right? On that paper, whatever the roll numbers is there, that students were present, right? Same fashion, in the similar fashion, MAC address table is the table organized or maintained by the switch or device, the switch. Okay, whenever a system is connected to that switch, the switch will grabs or takes the MAC address of the system and stored in its MAC address table with that port number. I already shown you the switch physical architecture, which contains different ports, port number 1, port number 2, port number 3, like that. So what switch will do is, it will retrieve the whenever a end device connected to a particular port, for example port number 10. So whenever a connection is established, link is up, switch immediately takes the MAC address of the device which is connected, and in the MAC address table to that port number 10, it will store that MAC address, right? Like that, switch will maintain the MAC address entries. Okay. So when the switch is turned on, so switch maintains this MAC address table. Okay, MAC address table, which is stored in a memory called as content addressable memory, CAM table, CAM table, right? So this CAM table, whenever switch is turned off, the MAC address becomes empty. Whenever switch is powered on again, it again takes the connected device information and stores in the MAC address table. Like that, MAC address table is continuously changed, right? So from the MAC address table, a system will perform a request. Suppose if I want to communicate to some server, okay, switch contains the IP address, port number, that MAC address, right? So what switch will do is simply broadcast this message to that particular port only. It is nothing but switching operation, right? Ethernet switch examines MAC address table to forward Ethernet frame, right? The difference between Ethernet and hub. Hub is an older device. So what happens in a hub means, if a system in a network wants to send or perform request with some other device in the network, suppose 8 systems were there in a network. If one system makes interaction, that data is transferred to all the devices in the network. All the devices in the network. That single packet is transferred. So like that, how many operations were performed, all the packets will transferred within the network. This increases the load on that network. That is why hubs are called as repeaters. They again and again transfer the bits to all the devices in the network. Right. To avoid that issue, we had a switch, the latest technology. Switch, what it performs is, switch will send the data to the intended destination only, not all the devices. It will send data to that particular port connected device only. That means switch connects or establishes a circuit from one port to another port. Okay, this is the way switch performs switching action. It's a changing action. Like next, so how switch performs these operations using learning and forwarding. Learning means learning means whenever a frame enters into a switch, it is checked. Okay, it is checked first. It will learns about that one. That means if the switch is powered on and first time when a device is connected to the switch, then switch is in learning state. That means first it will takes the MAC address of the connected system and stores in the CAM table, right? This is the learning phase. Like that, switch continuously in learning phase. Next, whenever a device want to perform some operation, so if switch has already available MAC address, it will simply forward the data to the destination, right? If switch didn't have that destination device, first it will ask for all the systems in the network about do you have this MAC address? Are you with this MAC address? Right? If you are not this MAC address, okay. It will again learns. Okay, it will again learns, and if a newly connected system available with the same MAC address, the packet is transferred. If no system is available, same information will be sent to that system. Right? This is the way. Switch is continuously in learning and forwarding mode. Learn and forward mode. That means find the destination MAC address. That means in the learning phase, the device which is connected, the source device which is connected, that information is grabbed by the switch, which is called as learning phase. And then in the forwarding phase, it will find the destination. It is in operation to find the destination MAC address on which port out of all available ports, on which port the destination MAC address is there. If it identified by the switch, the packet is transferred. That means forwarded. So this is the basic operation, switch learning and forwarding mechanism, right? If whenever the destination device or server is not available on that network, switch simply broad switch simply broadcasts a message. Broadcasting means sends the request to all the devices in the network, right? If any system with that same MAC address are identified, it will give a reply to the switch and switch perform forwarding operation. If still switch can't get the destination address, it means that the source system which wants to perform connection with the destination system is not within the network, right? Next, filtering frames. So this is the basic operation. Whatever the operations I told earlier is the basic operation. For example, consider we had a 4-port switch, port number 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, and we have 4 systems. So it is difficult for you if we provide with complete MAC address. So consider with only 4 values. Actually, what is the size of a MAC address? Size of a MAC address, 12 values, 12 hexa pairs were there, right? But for your understanding purposes, we are giving only 2 hexa pairs, right? So the MAC address of system A is 000A. MAC address of system B is 000B, 000C for C, and MAC address of system D is 000D. So whenever these systems connected to the switch for the first time, okay, when the switch is switched on, first its MAC address is empty, MAC address table is empty, right? Next, if a system A wants to maintain a communication with system D, what happens? System A will send a frame with some but system A don't know the address of that D, right? So what happens is switch system A requests the switch about that one, right? So already it learns from the MAC address table, the system will get the information of system D. How it is identified? With the IP address, right? The IP address, it knows that According to the MAC address table, the system D is connected at port number 4 and the MAC address is 000D, right? So that 000D address is filled in this one, and in the next step switch will simply system A forwards the data or sends the data, and whenever the switch receives the data, switch will accept the data because it has a MAC address, source MAC address, and then it will identify the destination MAC address. What is the destination MAC address of the packet or frame? 000D. Switch will check its MAC address table. It identifies that 000D MAC address is connected to port number 0, and to this port number switch will forwards the data, right? This is the way you can forward the data. You can see the video of this. You can easily got an idea on that one. Sending the frame to the default gateway, you can see this one also. Next, activity, lab activity, build and configure the network, examine the switch MAC address table. This one also, on that video you will get the answers easily. You can get to know how switch will learn the MAC addresses, right? Next, coming to switch speed and forwarding methods. So up to now, switch works with learning and forwarding mechanism. Okay, it will learn the addresses, it will forward the packets to the destination addresses, right? So next thing is how forwarding is done. What are the methods to forward the method? Because we got destination address, destination MAC address in the table, so switch now forwards the data. How? What are the mechanism is used for forwarding the data? Okay, so switch have two forwarding mechanisms. They are store and forward switching mechanism, cut through switching mechanism. Two important methods, store and forward. Store means switch the whatever the packets arrived or frames arrived at the switch, they are stored first. They are stored first in the memory. Stored first in the memory, and then switch forwards the frame to the destination port. This is the basic mechanism in store and forward mechanism, right? And cut through switching. In the cut through switching, switch will forward the frame immediately without storing it in memory. It will forward immediately at a minimum time. Okay, so the destination address must be read, but in order to do this, the switch needs to know the destination address. After knowing the destination address, it will immediately send the frame. It will forward the frame. This is the cut through switching. In this mechanism, there is no need for buffer, right? So what is the difference between store and forward and cut through switching? So the difference is cut through switching. Cut through switching is speeder because it won't store the data in the switch. Okay, but if the destination address is not available, there is no chance for a switch to perform a broadcast message and go into learning phase. Okay, the frame will get lost. There is no reliability. But in store and forward switching, switch will receive the data. First, it stores in the destination. It has a chance for CRC validation, cyclic redundancy check, error detection is there. Cut through, there is no error detection. Next, store and forward mechanism. If the destination address is there in MAC address table, it can forward the data. If the destination address is not there, which can perform broadcast activity, and then while getting the address, it can transfer the data. That is the main difference between store and forward and cut through. Cut through is faster but not reliable. Store and forward is little bit slower but reliable. Has the chance for store and forward switching has the chance for CRC check. Right. In cut through method, we have two variants. First one is fast forward. Second one is fragment free. Fast forward, because fast forward method immediately, if the packet is received, it will immediately send to the destination, throw back to the destination. After reading the destination address, it will simply send as fast as possible, right? So if the destination address is faulty, what happens? Destination address is faulty. Okay, the switch cannot forward the frame, right? Next, fragment free switching. fragment free switching means it is like a store and forward, but in this case, uh, fast forward switching, first switch stores and performs error checking. For error checking purpose only, fragment free checking. Okay, it's not like a store and forward mechanism, but in the fragment free switching of cut through switching, it will take the data, performs error check. If no error check, simply sends the data. That is the main difference. Don't get confused. Fragment free switching is like store and forward mechanism. It's not like that. In store and forward mechanism, it stores the frame. But in fragment free switching, for checking error purpose only, switch stores the data. Not for checking or verifying the destination is present or not. Not for CRC check also, fragments free switching won't work. That is a major difference. Next. So for store and forward mechanism or anything, switch has its own memory for storing data, has its own memory. So to organize this memory, switch has two methods to organize this memory. First one is port based memory and shared memory. Port based memory means in the previous diagram you seen that for the switch there are four ports, 1 2 3 4 ports were there. So if there is a dedicated memory for each port, that type of method is called as port based memory, right? If for all the ports there is only one memory to be shared by all the ports in the switch, that type of memory is called as shared memory. What my point? So the difference between port based and shared memories, in the shared memory there is a scope that the packet can have the scope that it has access to all the ports. But in post based memory, each memory is unique, individual to its bounded to its port only. At this space, one port cannot communicate to each other. That means there may be delay in transferring the frame. That is the major difference between port based and shared memory. Next, so after sending a frame, so there are so many methods for sending a frame. We already know that one. Store and forward, cut through again two methods, and then switch as a memory. Okay, port based and shared memory. After that one, what is the amount of speed that switch can transmit the data? Amounts of speed, how they can transmit the data. So this is divided, this is called as duplex and speed settings. So the amount of bandwidth or speed, duplex settings were there. There are two types of duplex settings, full duplex and half duplex. I already told you in the morning session, if the communication path has to and fro, two-way communication, okay, that type of communication path is called as a full duplex. If the connection permits only one direction at a time, only one end connection, that type of mechanism is called as half duplex mechanism. So some systems, older systems has half duplex capability, latest systems has auto duplex capability. So what happens is, observe this diagram, switch S1 is working with full duplex mode, switch S2 supports only half duplex mode. So whenever you connect these two different configuration devices, so during the communication, S2 maintains communication in half duplex mode, right? Next, S1 maintains communication in full duplex mode. It won't wait for anyone. Wait for S2, simply sends the data because switch S1 has the capability of full duplex, right? But S2 only half duplex. Whenever S2 wants to send the data, it sends just like that. But at the same time, if S2 half duplex mode, only one direction, S2 is sending the data, that data may get collided. In order to avoid these issues, during configuration of devices, you should apply this speed and duplex settings in a proper way so that half duplex mode system is connected to half duplex only, full duplex mode system is connected to full duplex only, right? If you don't know about all these things, we have one more thing called as auto negotiation option in the switches. Auto negotiation means by detecting the speed and duplex capabilities of a device, switch will automatically configures the mode to that port, either half duplex or full duplex, right? That type is called as auto MDIX. Auto MDIX, medium dependent interface crossover, automatic MDIX future. So a direct connection between a router and a host requires a crossover connection. For that one, we can use auto MDIX connection, right? Next. So that's it. This module is ended, and I'll show you practically how that configurations can be checked in our network. This is the last one. This is not mentioned in the Cisco, but I am showing to you my interest. So open your network connections, click on your system, right click on that one, open the properties, right? While opening the properties, you have all these options, right? Using IPv4, we can set the IP address either automatic or static. Okay. Next, you want to set duplex settings. So these duplex settings are to be configured to the interface card, network interface card. What is my network interface card? Atheros AR8151 PCIe Gigabit Ethernet card. So to configure that one, click on the configure button. Okay, configure button. Yes, right. I'll have this interface. This one, click on advanced. Second tab, click on advanced. So here you can observe there are so many properties were there. Observe, so many properties were there. Flow control like that, all these things were there. In this one, observe jumbo frame. Jumbo frame. You already learned what is a jumbo frame. What is a jumbo frame? This the data size is above 1500 bytes. It is called as jumbo frame. If I enable this jumbo frame, okay, if I enable this jumbo frame, it has a capability to receive or send jumbo frames with predefined sizes. The maximum supported is 9 KB, right? Next. Now observe speed and duplex. Speed and duplex. So what is the default value? Auto negotiation. Already told you what is auto negotiation. The speed and duplex setting of a network interface card is set with auto negotiation option. Then according to the speed of the switch, the network interface card is configured. If the speed of switch is 1 Gbps, my LAN connection is converted or established a connect with 1 Gbps connection. If again, if I connect my system to 100 Mbps switch with the auto negotiation option, my switch, my system will get the 100 Mbps of the destination network device. With that, in the auto negotiation mode, switch will configure to the setting with 100 Mbps only. Auto negotiation mode, right? If you want to manually set your speed settings, you can click on this one. Here we have different options: 10 Mbps full duplex, 10 Mbps half duplex, 100 Mbps full duplex, 100 Mbps half duplex, auto negotiation, right? This is the way we can configure our speed and duplex settings in our network interface card, right? So with this, our module is finished. Okay, Ethernet switching, right? How switches transfer all these Ethernet frames using some mechanism, right? So if you have any doubts, you can post in the group. Now I'm stop sharing this one.